Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's been a while again before we do another video, but we're here once again to share ideas and put across some analysis that I believe are important to all of us, especially we who are South Sudanese. Again, this video will focus on South Sudan. I hope to hear your views. This is a video that is we'll look into the current state of politics in as far as elections and peace is concerned. Ladies and gentlemen, the question that I'm here to ask is the extension of the peace agreement, the revitalized peace agreement on the resolution of conflict in South Sudan, a sensible thing to do, or should we go ahead with elections, which were scheduled for the 22nd of December 2024? Here is my take. You could or may agree with this or disagree. Right. Today we see in the media that there is an extension. Actually, the office of the president put it forth on social media that the extension of the revitalized peace agreement on the conflict of South Sudan is extended until 2026 for another 2 years. Remember that we are coming from a period where it was extended for 2 years to this year in 2022, based on when it was signed in 2018. So, to start with, can we even think of having elections this year in 2024? Was it something sensible when you look at it? For you as a South Sudanese or you as a friend of South Sudan? Was it really making sense that there should be elections in South Sudan this year, in December 2024? Here are the two things we want to look at. Is it a good piece? Is it a good extension? Or should we go ahead with elections? This is what I really want us to analyze in this video. Right. I want to take us back a little bit. In 2013, December conflict, before it began, there was an SPLM party convention that was going to decide on who to run on the elections as the presidential bearer and all those things. And we know that there was an election that was looming, which was set forth by the CPA after our independence. That the South Sudan is a young democracy, that it will all its elections in 2015. So in my view, this election was premature, was not necessary, and the conflict of 2013 perhaps could have been avoided if the election was not pronounced in earnest. I don't know what you think, but this is my view. So had we not said that we will have elections in 2015, political leaders would not have expressed their will or intention to run for elections in the period running into this 2015 election said date. That would have saved us a lot of political wrangling. Nobody would have worried so much. In fact, I feel like maybe South Sudan would have been given the right time for South Sudan to run for elections would have been now, a period like this, 2024, 2025. But yes, we wanted to be part of and wanted to emulate other democracies that have used elections for years as a means of changing leaders and coming up with new manifestos and see what can be done next. So as a young nation finding ourselves in such an environment, a political environment, we also wanted to fit in. And so elections were the main thing, 2015. And I feel this was partly a reason why we went to the conflict in 2013. Because And the leaders did not say that. Some leaders did not express, some of our leaders, right? That I want to run for presidency or I want to run for governor and all these things. Then perhaps South Sudanese would have continued to learn what peace means within that short period, a grace period where people just want to enjoy life in terms of having peace, in terms of reconnecting with lost families, in terms of all the lost boys and girls and all the refugees coming back to the nation. Good. Well, if you look at it like this, should we have elections in 2024? So I believe, as Kujiek, that it is sensible and as come at on a timely basis that elections are not going to be done this year and that it has been postponed to 2026 and the peace agreement has been extended. I am one of you, actually I do not really like it, that the same leaders will continue to become the main protagonists in South Sudan politics for as long as we know now. The same liberators who have actually played a role in destroying the country, although they liberated it. I really feel that it is their time to go for younger blood, younger generation to come in as they sit down in their homes, guiding the generation that actually they help in liberating. They help in liberating the country for. But when we look at the current situation that we are in, we find ourselves at such an awkward stage where if we do not think critically, conflict can erupt. We are at such a point where the boiling points are very high. Everything is at stake. It is like the 2013 situation where if the election were to be postponed in 2015 to another period, then we would have saved the situation and the people who died, all this conflict would not have died. The situation now needs to be saved. It is not a matter of who is in power now or who has the highest number of politicians, has the positions and have the resources and all this, but it's about can we save South Sudan or should we leave South Sudan to disintegrate even more? And we know what will happen. I do not need to tell you this. Any war in South Sudan now leads to further fragmentations, further divisions, and the wounds that will be created now, added to the wounds that have already been created, will not be healed as easily as we think they would be. Because remember, the wounds that we have now, already from the war since 2013, are not yet healed. There's no court that people have gone to. Perpetrators are not tried. There's no reparations for the people who have lost loved ones or have been displaced. So no reconciliation yet. So the 2 years, whether we like it or not, for me, it's not about liking it. It is about saving what we may think as a future. So the 2 years period that has been put in place today is sensible in my view and may end up helping us in securing and or saving South Sudan as a nation. Well, let's think about it. Elections in 2024 December. Now we are in what? In September. Right. What do election needs? What do we need for us to have an election? The first thing you always do is you ask yourself, do we have the resources to be able to run this election? Do we have the resources, the finances, the physical resource, the transportation, right? The human resource, trained and well equipped to run the elections? Do we have this in place? Like we did for the referendum, we were lucky enough that we were supported by the world, but now we are a country and we should not expect support to come from elsewhere to come and help us run our elections. because we are an independent sovereign state. So do we have those resources? We have seen the economy is under dilapidation, right? The economy is going bad. The oil as the only source of income is being blocked now. There's war in Khartoum, which is the only channel of exportation for us. So saying that there will be elections this year was just but some sort of childish dream, a wishful thinking, if I may call it. That's one reason why we should not have elections. The other reason is, can we conduct civil education in South Sudan now? Are people really educated on what elections are? Remember, we're just coming from war. And war will teach you no civic education. How to know your rights as a citizen. You should go and vote. What does it mean to vote? What does it mean to choose your leader, both at the local, national levels? What does it mean to have a representative? Are our people really privy to these things? Or maybe is it just a small section that is in Juba, and of course those who are in the diaspora who will know this? And will they even vote, those who are in diaspora? So civic education is not possible to be done in South Sudan now, because you cannot even move from one area to another peacefully and freely as a South Sudanese, especially when you are working for the Electoral Commission to go and give education and educate your people on how to vote and how to do all the things that we know an election requires. Next, voter registration. How is this to be carried out? Or are we just going to bring everybody to Juba to come and vote? Can you easily go to Bentiu? Easily go to Nasser, Maywood, Gogrial, Wow, Yay, easily. Kajokeji, right? Easily. With the roads that we know, I think this is not making sense. Especially in December, there will be the period that the rains are ending, but still, how do you move in that period? Do you have the vehicles? Do you have the staff to do this? So the voter registration would not work. Do we want to go, if we want to copy other people, do we want to go for electronic voter registration, or is it a manual one? Or do we want to carry out a kangaroo system of elections, like it was done in the 80s? We used to know in some other African countries, where in Kenya they call this a Mololongo system, where you line up behind a presidential candidate, or behind a candidate. And then whoever has the highest number of line, the longest line, is voted, is said to be the winner. That one has so many disadvantages. And the first one, of course, being when your line is long, and you are the dictator, you have the resources, you can intimidate others. So that's why secret ballots is a better choice here. And another important part, which is number 4, I will leave you to mention the rest because there are so many, is free space for election participation, for campaigns, for those who want to express themselves, that want to participate in these elections, be it presidential candidates, be it gubernatorial candidates, or commissioners, or MPs, all right, members of parliament, or any other civic post, right, electoral post that people want to come and express their interest and want to contest freely. Is that there? Or will the ruling party, SPLM, all right, intimidate others, especially the opposition? We have seen that. I do not even think that there are opposition who are going to campaign now in the other areas, or in their areas, freely, right? So is it going to be a SPLA running against itself? So that is obviously an election that has already been won before it is done. And there's no need of calling it an election. It's symbolic. It's just a symbol that election has been done, but there's no election in that. So in this case, if the opposition is not there, if people cannot participate freely, then there's no election. It's just better to extend it, because we already know the winner anyway. right? So let the person who is already in the position to continue. And in this case, is President Salva Kiir Mayardit. Let him continue. Because he'll win the elections anyway. Whether it is through, whether he win by the masses voting for him, or even if they vote against him, I think he'll be in power. And this is my view, because we know the context of South Sudan at this point. Right? So these 2 years will buy time. And perhaps there will be a leader whom South Sudanese will rally behind. And perhaps also for these 2 years, there will be some sense of peace, lovingness that will go within the people and create a cement that will harden the heart of our people, bring them together, cement them, see the sense of having education, see the sense of having good hospitals, see the sense of having good roads, see the sense of having good economic systems. Because without this, you cannot have a country. If these are not put in place, actually by the leaders who have extended this peace now, by these 2 years, and then also it's still another West. We'll still need another 2 years to extend, and will be extended. Because an election that is done will likely fragment the nation. If I come to my conclusion, okay, another important aspect that must be looked at now that it has been extended, the peace agreement, and there will be no elections until 2026 December. Another important aspect will be to give the opposition leaders an opportunity to move around and really feel free and connect with the people, plus ensure that those people who are still in the bush, who are still opposing the current peace agreement and feel that it has some flaws, to be brought onto the table. And what do I say here? That the Tumaini initiative that has been initiated by President Salva Kiir and his brother William Samoei Ruto, to be given an opportunity so that everybody is brought on board, so that this experiment can be tried one more time. Experimenting on how to be together and learn as human beings to see that we can have differences, but we must not use the gun. And that when pastors try to tell us the truth about how to stop killing each other, we should not see it as being a threat. And that we should know that when Kujeg expresses views, these are his views, and I do not have to kill him for it or arrest him for it. Because the more you try to intimidate people, the more resistance builds itself. This one is known in any conflict, right? Especially now that we are still in a country where people have not learned to like peace. People have not yet known how to have the benefits of having good roads, resources, having a good home to stay in. It is very easy to go to the bush and fight again. So it is fundamental that every opposition person is reached, and that the peace agreement that is in Tumaini to be put in place, signed, and everybody is brought on board in the next 2 years, so that we see how best everybody can work towards building a nation in a genuine manner. I do not think what you think, guys. Right? So I do not know what you think about this. If you agree, let us know. If you do not agree, feel free. That's why we are trying to encourage this platform to be an area where we can analyze issues that are affecting South Sudan, especially when it comes to everything like elections, like this extension of today. Thank you very much for your time.